This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
All right, let's get into it. Hour 2 here, Money Moves, VSiN, the sports betting network. If you missed any of the first hour of the program, remember you can always find Money Moves wherever you get your podcast. Listen on your own time or on the VSiN Watch app if you want to watch us as well. He's Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Stormy Buonantony. We're live in downtown Las Vegas at Circuit Resort and Casino. Coming up this hour, we'll get into a little NBA Cup action. The East semifinal is set, but tonight will determine the West, so we'll get into those games and some injury updates for you there. We also have 4 games in the National Hockey League. One in particular I'm very interested in, some West Coast bias bowl games to discuss out here on our side of the country and plenty in the NFL, which is where we're going to kick things off here, JVT. We got the news in the last hour. Geno Smith reportedly unlikely to play on Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reporting Smith is dealing with that shoulder injury still that knocked him out of the game against Denver. So Kenny Pickett looking like he's in line to start against his former team.
I think that this is not real. Now, I'm not saying it's an upgrade. I just don't think you adjust the power rating.
That's that big a deal.
Yeah, I don't think you're adjusting the power rating on Las Vegas with Kenny Pickett out there. It was one nice throw from Pickett. That was about it. I've always kind of been in the camp of, not that Pickett is like deserving or anything, but you know, when we were talking about this at the beginning of the year, before his injury, I think there was a real shot that he probably could have realistically beaten Joe Flacco for the job for Cleveland to start the season. But remember, he gets the calf and never really gets an opportunity and gets traded. I think if all things were equal in a training camp in which the Raiders did not pay Geno Smith what they did and sacrifice the assets to go and get him that they did, in a 1-to-1 mano-a-mano battle, would he actually really lose out to Geno Smith, given what we've seen from him this year? Probably not. And just given Geno Smith's complete profile this year, it's hard to downgrade from that. So I would assume you're just operating on the assumption that the Raiders are who they are as they move into this game. The real question becomes, what are the Eagles? What are the Eagles on offense? What are they going to do? How are they going to execute? These questions that are now surrounding Jalen Hurts and his status as their quarterback, or your offensive play caller and how this is going to look as you move forward, the inability to run the ball. These have all been things that have held them back. And I go back to what we talked about on Monday night. I know it's the Chargers, but who are the Eagles to lay, as I said it there, who are the Eagles to lay 3 in a cross-country trip to an opponent like that? Who are the Eagles to lay double digits like this to really anybody at this point?
Lost 3 straight games, and I understand that A.J. Brown is a very important piece to your offense, and if you don't feed him the ball for 13 targets a game, he's going to go cry on social media. But when he also has 3 drops in a game and an interception on his watch, maybe we can adjust course and see if there's somebody else we can try to get the ball to as well. Jalen Hurts has 5 turnovers in the game, including 2 on a single play. And with that, Eagles fans are kind of freaking out right now. That has led to questions about whether or not he should be the starter, at least on local radio. Listen to this from WIP, local radio, in terms of whether or not Nick Sirianni should make a change.
Is there a possibility later this season, if he continues to struggle, that you can make a change at the quarterback spot?
No, I think that's ridiculous. I think, Jalen Hurts, I know every time I go out in that field with Jalen Hurts as our quarterback, we have a chance to win the game. And that's something that's been proven. We've won a lot of football games. And again, we don't ever go into something and assign. This is a team game. This is the most ultimate team game. So when you win together as a team, you lose together as a team. It's never just one thing. I kind of said that last week or the week before with Kevin, the same deal.
And I was listening to some clips as well. And I agree, by the way, with Nick Sirianni. That's a ridiculous question to be asked. Like, Jalen Hurts is your quarterback. We're not going to Tanner McKee or Sam Howell right now because of one particularly bad game. What? Why are you staring at me like that?
I mean, Tanner McKee.
He just won you a Super Bowl a few months ago. Let's relax for a second, shall we?
Tanner McKee's pretty good.
That said,
I mean it. Tanner McKee might be pretty good.
For all of the questions that are surrounding Jalen Hurts right now, I was listening to some clips from the Speakeasy podcast with Emmanuel Odshow and Kieran Hickey-Semple. They had LaShawn McCoy on, former Eagles legend, Hall of Famer, all the things. And he was a staunch defender of Jalen Hurts while putting the blame on someone else, a Mr. Kevin Patullo, the OC. Listen to this.
Is Kevin Patullo doing the best job? Absolutely not. He is not. Is he going to be the offensive coordinator there next year? Absolutely not. He can't.
If he's back, I'm leaving the Eagles. If Kevin's
Where are
back,
you going, Shady? You're in the Hall of Fame. Your jersey's retired.
take me off.
You can't.
Take me off is crazy.
Nobody's ever asked.
Take me off.
And I'm gonna say it's either. I'm gonna say, Mr. Laurie. Now, anything I need, he gives me. Mr. Laurie, it's either me or Kevin. All right. If Kevin is not fired, put 25 number back out there in the street. Let one of the rookies get it.
Oh, wow.
Kevin got to go.
That's exclusive.
That's crazy.
An undrafted rookie?
Anybody. Give it the kicker.
He said anybody?
Hey, yo, Rook, we had the show, we laugh about that. He gets something. He's like, man, they got the kicker with my number. Give the kicker my number if Kevin's still there. Kevin be on some bull crap.
Really not a fan of Kevin Patullo, clearly.
I mean, I think that's part of, I think, the big assessment here and the correction that's going to move forward. I don't think Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts it's kind of been proven that you need a really strong supporting cast around him. I think for this to really succeed, I think we're kind of seeing that a little bit. Look, some of his best performances have been in the Super Bowl. Arguably his best performances. Like, he deserves a ton of credit for that. But I mean, very clearly,
very nearly an MVP in the one he lost.
Yes,
right.
But very clearly here, as we have seen for a couple of years now, if everything's not, you don't want to say perfect, but play calling, skill position, the ability to find balance with your offense, that you've got to be able to do that. And I think that's why it falls on Patullo's feet. I thought it was a really smart. I think it was Ben Solak and Mina Kimes were talking about this week, where if you go back and you look at the film for the Monday night game against the Chargers, you saw, because one of the big things for Jalen Hurts is that his rate of throwing in the middle of the field is really low, right? All of a sudden, he has the highest number of throws from 10 to 19 yards downfield, specifically in the middle as well, tied with some of the most he's had, like, in the last 3 years, right? And the argument from them was, like, this is now the time where you're starting to break out new things. If you're Patullo, where you're where was this the last few weeks? Why have you not been trying to adjust? Why have you not been trying to find what some of the weaknesses are in your passing game? Then why did it take till week 15 on Monday night to break these things out? And I would assume that you're probably going to change your play caller and change some of the personnel along the offensive line, which admittedly hasn't been fully healthy all year long, and try to see if you can find some sort of way to generate a running game that'll give you some balance.
Yeah, the offensive line health, I think, too, a big layer of some of their issues that they've had right now. That said, the spread for this week's game, they're laying 11.5 against the Raiders. It is down from 12.5 on the look-ahead line for next week in Washington for the first of 2 games against the Commanders. They're 5.5-point road favorites there. The other hard game that they do have is at Orchard Park, taking on the Bills in Week 17. But I think the expectation is that they'll handle business. They're minus 1,200 still to win the division in this spot and then see what they can do in the postseason. But it bears repeating what we talked about yesterday and earlier this week and earlier this season as well, that this just feels like it's not working. Very similar to what we saw 2 years ago from this team that fell apart the back end of the season, then got waxed in the wild card round. That said, as we look ahead to some of these other games, even though that one might not be a super high leverage game when it comes to the postseason conversation, there are a few, and I would love for you to kind of give me your perspective on this. There are a handful of games that the swing for whether or not they will make the postseason or not, it feels like must-win type games for a handful of teams this week.
Yeah, I mean, it really does, especially for actually for a couple of good teams potentially. But we'll see. So, hey, look, there's a couple of here that do stick out. Like for the Buccaneers, for example, we talked about how important this game is. According to NFL's, the NFL.com's playoff projection in their picture, currently the Buccaneers have a 70% chance of making it into the postseason. If they win, it only goes up to 79%, but if they lose, it dips to 53%. So it goes to what we talked about with this game just about 20 minutes ago, which was, this kind of feels like you can't lose this one. Mm-hmm. And some of those playoff probabilities would tell you, you don't want it to become a coin flip for you down the stretch to win or to make it to the playoffs. This is, again, just to make the postseason. It's not division, just make the postseason. Look at the Chargers. The swing here in terms of what they are. According to the NFL, 75% currently is their probability of making the postseason. They beat the Chiefs. That goes up to 93%. You're a playoff team, essentially, if you're able to pull this win off against Kansas City. We'll have more on this game, too, because, again, market kind of pricing L.A. like, they're worse than Kansas City, potentially.
Yeah.
I don't know if I buy that. But the offensive line hasn't been good. You lose, though, you fall to 65% if you're the Chargers. It's a pretty big dip when you're looking at what the playoff picture looks like.
Also, there are a lot of other things that would need to happen, but technically the Chiefs could be mathematically eliminated on Sunday as well, which I think is noting. Should they lose, the Bills beat New England, the Jags beat the Jets, and the Texans beat the Cardinals, which are all things that could very well happen.
Yep.
They're done.
Yeah. I didn't realize that. Yeah, so they see that could totally happen. So this is a big playoff game just in general for both of those teams. I thought the two that were somewhat surprising for the Lions. How about this?
Mm-hmm.
So currently the Lions, 52% playoff probability. If they win, that goes up to 72%. That's a win over the Rams. If they lose, it dips to 42% in the NFC. So the Lions have a lot at stake in a really tough game. And then how about the Bears? The Bears, at one point, I think we were talking about this, was it post-Thanksgiving, whatever it was, Black Friday, they were the 1 seed at one
top
point.
seed in the NFC.
If they lose this game against Cleveland, their playoff chances dip to 44%.
That's stunning.
So, like, there's a lot of games here. We can talk about the Colts if you want. I mean,
we don't want.
Yeah, if they win this game, it's a coin flip if they make it in, whatever. Isn't it incredible?
They're 2 touchdown.
I can't think of an instance off the top of my head. Can you? Being 7-1 and being a team that's going to probably be on the outside of looking into the
Crazy
playoffs.
to think about.
I can't think of an instance in the NFL in recent memory that sticks out.
If you can at home, tweet at us at MeJVT, at Storm Buonantony, at VSiN Live. You can also email us, moneymoves@vsin.com, the email address. I'll think on it during the break, see if something comes to mind.
There was like a couple, I remember a Lions team that started 6-2 with like John Kitna, and they ended up missing out on the postseason. But I don't remember like an instance like this, 7-1, and on the outside looking in.
This is a really fun time of year, I think, to be a better with all of the NFL playoff implications we have going on, the college football playoff ongoing. And with that in mind, Boomer Sportsbook is bringing you all of the action, football, basketball, hockey, everything. Use our code right now, VSiN250, when you sign up for Boomer's mobile account. They're going to match your first deposit up to $250 in bonus bets. Plus, for the NFL, -105 on all pro football spreads every regular season game. Download the Boomer Sportsbook app today. BetWithBoomer.com is how you can get more information. Get in there. Must be 21 or older. Terms and conditions apply. Please bet responsibly.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Asking you shall receive. Got some immediate good feedback here as we welcome you back to Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. We were trying to think of teams in reference to the Indianapolis Colts and how great of a start they had to the year and watching it like a cookie and milk crumble before our very eyes. If there had been historically, like, what's the most recent team that comes to mind for you for a team that has started off really hot and then ultimately missed the playoffs? And we have a handful of candidates that have been coming in.
Yeah, so we got a few. Mitchell Moss, I don't know if you've heard of him. He's a local talent.
Yeah. I think that rings a bell. Heard of him.
Texted in, excuse me. Vikings started 6-0 one year and missed. I looked it up. Yeah, the 2003 Vikings started 6-0. The winning streak ended with the Broncos on October 19th, and then they proceeded to lose 4 straight, 5 out of the next 6, and went on to miss. So that was pretty shocking. He also notes that the Broncos may have as well. We'll have to go back and look. And then did somebody email in?
Montreal Max and the 2012 Bears.
Yep.
Only team the last 30 years to start 7-1 and miss the postseason.
The Bears this is crazy. The Bears that season scored 9 defensive touchdowns. Charles Tillman, the famous peanut punch, forced 10 fumbles. Brandon Marshall set the team's single-season receiving record of 1,500 yards. And after a 7-1 start, they finished 10-6 and finished third in the NFC North.
And then another good one here. That's wild. Greg Spears sent one in on the email. 1996 Redskins. So you got to go farther back here. They lost their first game, then went 8-1. Ended up finishing the season 9-7 to miss the playoffs as well.
Okay.
Sheesh.
All right. Well, so at least there's a few.
Yeah,
I feel way better now.
Another tweet that we had coming in as well, because Dustin Sweetelson was chiming in on the chat when we were having the comeback player of the year discussion surrounding the odds that were available for Phillip Rivers and just how ridiculous it ultimately is. Mark Hoppel joined in the chat and said,
Dustin's tweet?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Said if Phillip Rivers wins comeback player of the year after Joe Flacco went for the same situation, setting forth the new guidelines that screwed us with Darnold, January 6th will equal a pillow fight.
Pillow fight.
Yeah.
There you go. But Mark Hoppel said it's comeback player of the year, not 4 games. Come on, wake up, award voters.
I would agree.
Not wrong.
I would agree. I think all of us would agree. I especially, again, at the number, if you're going to take 18-1, 16-1, actually, you can what, it's down to 14-1?
15-1 some shops, yeah.
Stop.
Wild.
Stop.
Let's get into some of the NBA Cup action here real quickly. We saw the Magic and Knicks advance in the East last night for Orlando. Didn't look good early.
No.
They start the game down 18-2. Come back, they end up winning it 117-108. Desmond Bain had a season-high tying 37 in the win. Miami loses a fourth straight. Toronto also losing 4 straight as the Knicks win 117-101 there. As for tonight, so with that being the semifinal set in the Eastern Conference, we got the Western Conference side of the NBA Cup ongoing tonight. OKC laying 14.5 against the Suns today, total 223.5. And then the Lakers laying 7.5 against the Spurs. The big thing there, Victor Wembanyama officially ruled out with that lingering left calf strain. He will miss a 12th straight game.
Yeah, that was the hope, right? That maybe Wemby, who had traveled with the team, maybe was going to be able to come back. That's ultimately not the case. Spurs maybe up against it here, but, look, they have shown, as we have discussed, that they are doing more than treading water without Victor Wembanyama. Mm-hmm. They're a pretty skilled and young team that's going to be pretty hungry to get this done. I don't know, maybe the millionaire trio of Austin Reeves, LeBron James, and Luka Doncic will be very motivated to, win their second NBA Cup in 3 years. The Lakers, remember, they won the inaugural NBA Cup out here in Las Vegas. And I believe this is the third, if I remember correctly. Either way, though, I still would lean a little bit towards San Antonio in this spot. Again, I do think motivation plays a little bit of a role here. And I keep going back to, it's not as bad as you can't keep doing this for LA, but they have been an average to below average defensive team that is undefeated in clutch games. Like at some point, you're going to look like what you are. And I would assume that maybe against a good and well-coached team like the Spurs, maybe you find yourself in a little bit of a tighter game than you expect.
Did want to point out up at vsin.com right now, our guy Zachary Cohen, who's also the host of the Hardwood Handicappers podcast. He has a few of his favorite bets for the 2 games coming up tonight. One of them being Mark Williams over 9.5 points against OKC. That prop has moved up, so maybe he's moving numbers. It's up to 10.5, but I was looking at our Opta AI prop projector tool that has Mark Williams scoring over 12 today. So that's a pretty significant margin for somebody whose number is where it is right now at that 10.5, around minus 115 the price. But I point that out because right now for the NBA as well as the NFL, we have these AI player prop projections where if you have a bet in mind, you want to check it out, you can search that player's name really easily inside the tool, compare it directly to the DraftKings line. vsin.com/subscribe is how you can get full access to that tool each and every day.
Did he have the Suns?
Let me go back to the article.
He's a Suns guy.
I don't want to tell all of his bets either.
Go to vsin.com. Check it out.
Props today. Strictly props today.
Oh, you're not going to tell me?
It's strictly props today.
No, he's got a prop article and he's got a best bets
I'm
article.
only reading the props article
Yeah,
right now.
see, that's the best thing about vsin.com. Zach writes multiple articles every single day, so you can go check those out. There's a prop-themed article and then a best bets of the day article, which Zach Cohen releases. By the way, I will be on Hardwood Handicappers tomorrow morning. I asked that because he's a Suns guy. And I mentioned at the beginning of the show when we were talking about what we're looking forward to for the program that maybe the point spread that is biggest is actually going to be the more competitive game. Suns are a pretty competitive group, man. Like they're a really good defensive team. You talk about being well coached. The way they've been able to execute has been absolutely tremendous. Now you want Devin Booker out there. He's questionable today to play. But I've been wildly impressed with what the Suns have brought to the table, especially on defense. And when you talk about the motivation of winning some money and showing up in some big spots, Phoenix, a team that's surprised quite a few, might be able to be at least competitive enough to stay inside of this number against Oklahoma City, which if you look at what Oklahoma City has been forced to do here in terms of point spreads and what they've had to cover, they're looking at some really big numbers. Still second best in terms of spread differential, but OKC might find itself in a little bit more of a fight than it expects, I think, with a team like Phoenix.
Okay. You want to puck around and find out for a minute?
Sure.
We got a short 4-game slate in the National Hockey League today. Looking through the board, not a lot of money line movement on these 4 games, and all relatively, with the exception of maybe one game, relatively reasonably priced favorites as well. We do, however, have a handful of totals that are on the move. One game that I'm most interested in, and I've got a few angles that I'm going to end up playing this one, is the Rangers and Blackhawks. Seeing New York get a little bit of money here. One book in particular up from minus 135 to minus 144. This total opened 5.5, got juiced really quickly to the over, minus 135-ish, minus 140. Most books went to 6. There are some 6.5s out there. And I am on the over in this one, debating whether or not I want to pay the juice on the 5.5 or just take the over 6 at minus 110. Chicago has been hemorrhaging goals. So they were outscored a combined 13-1 their last 2 games against LA and Anaheim over the weekend. Typically, after teams get torched like that, JVT, I like to target an under. You think that they're going to get things cleaned up, be more defense focused. I just don't see that right now for this team. They've had 6 of their last 7 games with 6+ total goals scored. Then you have the fact that they're a team that plays better offensively at home, taking on a New York Rangers team that plays better offensively on the road. They have been a significantly better road team than they have at Madison Square Garden this year. Road record 12-4-1. Goal differential at home -18. Goal differential on the road +19. They also are coming off a pair of back-to-back tightly contested overtime losses. I think they're going to be very much so in bounce back mode, show that they're better than what they have against 2 really good teams in the Colorado Avalanche and Vegas Golden Knights. If your book lets you do side total parlays in the same game, I like the Rangers and over together. That's a half unit play I ended up doing today. You get a little better than 2-1 on it. I also think the Rangers 60-minute line could be worthwhile. That way you bring the juice down from we're seeing at DraftKings right now, -142 price to around a +110, +112 price available for you there. So there are a handful of different ways to play it. But I did, when all was said and done on this game, I felt like I had a pretty good read on it. I think the Rangers win this game, and I feel like we're going to get some goals scored in it.
They kind of turned things around a little bit. I mean, they had won,
Briefly.
4 out of 6 or something like that, and they've lost these last 2 games.
Yeah.
I have hope, don't I?
For your Rangers? Yeah.
I got to win the Eastern
They
Conference.
just need to start winning more games at home. It's
Right.
crazy that they haven't been able to handle home ice well at all this year.
I'm kind of surprised because when we first talked about their losing streak, especially at home, a lot of the metrics were pointing to them kind of outperforming, and yet results weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
That's really kind of flipped on its head. Like if you look at their even strength numbers, they have also not been hemorrhaging, to use your term, but the high danger chances against, the expected goals against, like it's all been pretty bad defensive numbers for the Rangers. I thought they were going to get something better than this.
Yeah. I did want to point out as well, the other game I was targeting, and that first game is part of what is a TNT national doubleheader tonight. The other game, the second leg of that, is the Kings and Kraken. And I was texting with Jonathan Davis earlier today because I like the Kings here. The Kraken have lost 6 straight games, and I think they're going to continue to falter against a team that's just better than them in Los Angeles. Yeah. But I didn't want to lay such a hefty price with them. And he suggested the Kings team total at over 3 at BetMGM was available, or 3.5. You can get a plus money price on that as well. And like we talked about with Zach Cohen and what he does with the NBA, Jonathan Davis does a great job covering the NHL for us over at VSiN.com. He said that might be a better way to target it, just at a lesser juice perspective than going and laying, -155 on a team that probably doesn't deserve to be that big of a favorite on the road. So just some food for thought there as we go through the card here. Yeah. We are going to step aside here real quickly. When we come back, it's bowl season, ladies and gentlemen, and it's a Wednesday, which means we got West Coast bias. Just because we don't have week-to-week college football anymore on the West Coast doesn't mean we can't have a little bit of fun with bowl season. There is one game I do already have a bet in out west, and even though I will not be the sideline reporter on the Pop-Tart Bowl yet again, there is something I like in that game. We'll get to that and more coming up soon.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
West Coast Bias Bowl edition coming at you today as we welcome you back to Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. He's Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Stormy Buonantony. I'm pretty pumped for this segment today. We've got some fun, interesting games for teams that we're passionate about.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of interesting bowl games. I like bowl games too because, look, we totally BS about these things. We're just trying to guess motivation, all these sort of different angles.
We're going to take so many walks down Narrative Street over the next few weeks.
It's absolutely great. I'll invoke 2 years ago, Shaving Cordero and San Jose State making the return to the islands to play in the Hawaii Bowl to take on Coastal Carolina. And Cordero's going back home, and it's a Hawaiian quarterback, and they get steamed all the way up to 9.5-point favorites against Coastal Carolina. And I think they lose by 14.
What you're saying, you're already trying to set it up for the Hawaii Bowl with Jaron Calve Sangapula-Tele going back to Hawaii as Cal's quarterback after he already officially committed to coming back for new head coach Tosh Lupoi.
No.
So this is your way of saying Hawaii's staying home, they're going to beat them.
Well, I was going to say, you see, the problem there is that you have the Hawaii dynamic, right? Like you have Hawaii staying home.
Hawaii crime.
Yes, right, versus the Hawaiian quarterback coming back. So I don't know if that's at play, but I will say, when we talk about that one, I do think there is some motivation there that is probably part of why I like a side. But either way, the whole point here is we're totally guessing with these bowls. It's absolutely tremendous. You can use all the data you want, but it's going to be so much fun to just sit there and go, I think this team wants it more, and that's why.
Well, and it's even one of those things, too, where in some of these cases, you might want to get ahead of it and bet a line now, but then you're going to learn about the opt-outs that come as you get closer to game time, and is that going to be better or worse for the bet you played? You don't know. And so a lot of things that you just have to just be aware of the inconsistencies of whatever you're firing on right now.
Well, and to that point, you'll see some matchups. Obviously, bowl games are fun because you get to see the different matchups between teams, kind of like a non-conference slate. But you'll get teams that more than likely in like a normal regular season setting, the number probably doesn't reflect what it is in the bowl season because of what you're talking about with that motivation with certain instances. So, yeah, it'll be fun. But these are all West Coast bowls, all teams that are from West Coast teams. I did stop myself from including the West Coast located bowls because I was like, we could be here forever.
Yeah,
so these are all just the bowls.
Maybe next week.
These are all just the bowls that involve teams from the West Coast.
Maybe next week we can go from it. At it from that angle a little bit more. But
I also didn't have that much on Duquesne and Boise State today in basketball. So
let's start with Hawaii at Cal, though, then since we're going down that road. This was a spread that opened 2.5, and we've seen, at DraftKings right now, it's 1.5 now in favor of the Cal Golden Bears. There are still some 2s out there, but it appears like that is the direction that we're going. The total anywhere between 54.5 and 55.5. How do you see it?
Come on now. There has been one goal, one mission for the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors this year. We covered it on this show. We talked about it. You just take care of business at home, and we're going bowling, boys. It's all they. Yeah. It was their only mission statement all year long, and they achieved it. And now they're here. They get to play in front of the home crowd. This team, I think, under Timmy Chang, and I know that in the upcoming college bowl guide that we're going to have out, I think Tim Murray's on the same angle here. This team wants this so bad. Like, I understand Cal might be motivated. We can play this game all we want. But I think that's why you're seeing the market. I'm going to make a statement that Hawaii goes off as the favorite. They probably will. And I think that now is the time, to your point, maybe just buy it now. Yeah. I did pay a little Hawaii on the money line. But I think this team, there has been one goal. This is it. And I think they're going to put everything with the kitchen sink into this game.
They are averaging more than 30 points per game at home. Micah Alejado has been great. Yep. Top passing offense in the Mountain West Conference this year. Meanwhile, pretty middling defensively in terms of the conference standings, taking on a Cal team that does have this really great young true freshman quarterback who, when his receivers have caught the ball, the offense has been awesome, and obviously they closed out the season on a high against SMU. Interim coach Nick Rolovich, another Hawaii connection there.
That's right.
There you go, another one.
That's right.
Going back to the old stomping grounds there. All in my mind sets up for an over. I think we're going to get a lot of points in this game. Okay. So that's the way I ultimately ended up playing it. I was telling you in the commercial break, looking at Cal's numbers as a favorite this year has not gone well for them. They've been favored 5 times this season. They have not covered as a favorite since week 1 of the season against a really bad Oregon State team.
That's right. Oh, yeah, that was Cal, Oregon State, huh? Yeah, that was JKS's coming out party. You were on that game, right?
I was.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Remember it well.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too, oddly enough. Yeah, this is, I'm in. So I would assume, this is what I was going to ask. I got sidetracked in my thoughts, as usually happens. You're probably going to be on Cal at some point?
Depends on.
Or you would assume you would think that Cal is the play?
I might just stick with the over. I think that both of these offenses should be able to cook in this game.
Plus 1.5? Plus 2.5? Plus 3?
Plus 3. I would take plus 3.
Okay, we found.
But I don't
Stormy's
think that's going to happen. But that's not going to happen.
I don't say never. These bowl games, they swing like crazy, dude. They move a lot.
One of the tweets that we got chiming in on the chat, when you said that I have a lot of jobs.
That's right.
So Derek Ginn, tweeted at us. Stormy has 4 jobs, actually, JVT. You forgot she's an advocate lawyer for BYU. Mm-hmm. BYU taking on Georgia Tech in the Pop-Tart Bowl, which, guys, I'll tell you, I am a little bit devastated that for 3rd year in a row, still not assigned my Passion Bowl, but one day maybe it'll happen.
Who got assigned it?
I haven't looked at the grid, to be honest with you, to see who's on it. But all I know is it's not me.
So you're not going to pull like a Tanya Harding thing here?
It's not me. No. But I also I shan't complain because I'm working 2 playoff games this year, and I'm very, very excited and grateful for that. But Notre Dame scared to play BYU. They're not in it, so we get Georgia Tech here. Anything that stood out to you?
I mean, it's BYU, right? I'm surprised. I mean,
it's been bet up from 2.5 to as high as 5.
Yeah, I shouldn't say I'm surprised, but I do think this seems relatively short against Georgia Tech. Am I barking up the wrong tree? No. You have a better read, I think, for this.
I completely agree.
But I would lay. Now, again, we're guessing at motivation here, But sometimes when you get these teams that are just on the cusp of making the playoff, you get one of two things. You get the Notre Dame type thing, which is either one, you just go, this is the new thing, which is don't go to the bowl, or you kind of get these lackluster efforts. This seems like one of those where Satake's going to have this team that was very excited to have him back, raring to go, and to beat the crap out of Georgia Tech and to kind of do almost like, what was it a few years ago? It's probably longer now. The whole UCF, like, no, see? Like, we beat Auburn in the Peach Bowl, and now we're like the best team in the country. Maybe they're not going to be as emphatic, but I would assume that this Cougars team is very motivated to beat up on a Georgia Tech team that, by the way, defensively is not very good.
I mean, they have faltered big time defensively down the stretch, and I know you might look at the Georgia game where the Bulldogs only put up 16 points in that game and say, well, they looked pretty good on defense there, but how much is Georgia looking ahead to the SEC championship game? Like, they don't really care about that. Yeah, their center goes down mid-game, so there were a lot of layers to that. Georgia Tech lost 3 of their last 4 games down the stretch. Defense wasn't playing well, so I lean BYU for that reason, but also just the fact that Kalani signs the extension. He is a good bowl coach in general. They're a program more often than not doesn't have a lot of opt-outs. They're trying to build to the future with their freshman quarterback, Bear Bachmeier, who Kalani did come out and say should be perfectly fine with the left ankle coming into the game. So, yes, I agree with the line movement completely on this game. It would be BYU or nothing for me. How about the New Mexico Bowl? As we walk down Narrative Street here, 2 teams that are probably pretty freaking annoyed to be in this game, fair to say. Aztecs heading back to Albuquerque, the team that ended their chances to play for the Mountain West title game. And then you've got North Texas, who probably feels they should be playing in the college football playoff, but didn't show up against Tulane in the American Championship.
Yeah. I'm going to assume, I think that this is, man, I don't know what to really do. Go ahead.
I probably should have said the line. 3-point favorites. North Texas is here, total 55.5. And this has been a line move in favor of the Aztecs. They opened around 4.5-point dogs.
So I would assume motivation in the newish regime is, for San Diego State, the motivation to get a bowl win, whatnot, right? We're on our way back to the powers that we were a few years ago. But, we've talked about some of these offenses and the way they've pushed San Diego State quite a bit. Do you think North Texas can do that here?
Well, and you know how much I thought that they were going to show up against Tulane. I was pretty stunned at how awful they looked offensively, considering, like, Mestemakers had the most passing yards of any quarterback in college football this year. Their offense was one of the highest scoring units in all of college football. And San Diego State now, defensively, for as much credit as they've been given on that side of the ball, also isn't going to have their defensive coordinator because he just got the job over with Matt Rule. So I think maybe a North Texas team total could be something worth looking at here, or if you just like them at what's become a much shorter number.
Yeah. I think I was leaning a lot toward North Texas here in this spot again, but playing against that angle for San Diego State hasn't worked particularly well. We did it a couple of times, but for the most part, they surprised. But I just feel like some of these high-powered offenses can, I think, maybe push this San Diego State defense a little bit more than what they thought.
Maybe we can keep this talk rolling a little bit into the next segment, because there's a lot more games to get through, including one coach that I don't understand why he isn't getting talked about more this year and more credit for the job that he has done, especially on a national scale. So that'll be a tease for what we have to come next segment.
You're
as well as
You're part of the problem.
Our best bets. It's not my fault. I'm given a list. And if somebody's not on it, what am I supposed to do? Did want to remind you, though, outside of all of the NFL and college football stuff that we're talking about right now, the official horse racing partner of VSiN, First Bet, is also built for bettors who demand more. First Bet isn't just about placing a bet. It's about helping bettors of any level with proprietary AI handicapping tools give you data-driven insights to help you make smarter bets. First Bet's in-app tools give win, place, and show probabilities for each runner, so you can quickly and easily identify good value plays, improve your ROI, and right now, you can take advantage of a limited-time $250 sign-up offer. To claim your bonus, use the promo code VSIN250, that's VSIN 250, in the First Bet app or at firstbet.com.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We do have a few more West Coast bias games to hit here as we talk through the college football bowl season. Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. But something else, like another big news item in college football that came down this morning that we hadn't had an opportunity to reference yet, was what's going on with Indiana star pass rusher Stephen Daly, who had this freak accident in the postgame of the Big Ten championship game, Curt Cignetti said in his media availability today, he's going to be done for the rest of the playoff.
Yeah, I was showing you the video afterward. He's just high-fiving fans and just comes up limp. And it's a weird thing. Like, he didn't even – the video is very short, but it didn't look like he was really doing anything outside of just some small hops.
Yeah, just doing some high fives, like a little – like maybe went up 3 inches off the ground and just – something happened that he came down on it, and significant enough that he's not going to be available now.
He's played 528 snaps for Indiana so far this year. By PFF standards, he's their third best run defender so far on the team. 41 pressures as well. One of the tops on the team is right behind Kamara here, so it's a pretty big loss.
Top in the Big Ten, second nationally in tackles for loss this year as well. He was a huge piece of what they do on defense. That's significant. Yeah,
it's pretty big here. It's not going to be reflected in any line as you move forward, but it is a big blow for Indiana as they move forward, especially because, one of the big narratives coming out, and rightfully so, was, hey, Cignetti this year had done such a good job. Saw last year in our trenches we weren't as strong. We needed to be stronger, and that was a really big point. And a very big strength for this team has been these defensive lines, this offensive line, the way they've been operating. And he's a big loss for them as they move forward now.
Speaking of which, I saw it come out a little bit earlier that Curt Cignetti has won one of those National Coach of the Year awards yet again for the second year in a row, the Walter Camp Coach of the Year. He's the first repeat winner in the award's 59-year history, so just showing the job that he has done. And we teased last segment that there is a coach that has not been getting nearly as much love as he deserves nationally. And in terms of finalists for that award, and I mean, most of these Coach of the Year awards that I have seen, Jason Eck is nowhere to be found on it.
Who is that?
Head coach of the New Mexico Lobos.
It's not a program that plays college football.
It is, last I checked. And I have no idea how he hasn't been in the discussion for one of the best jobs that a coach could have done in college football.
No,
he's nowhere near any of these lists.
You say you have no idea. You know why?
Because it's New Mexico and because it's the Mountain West?
Yeah, because they don't watch.
And that's why we do the West Coast Bias segment, ladies and gentlemen, to give a little bit of flair and love to these programs.
They're also anti-hefty coaches. That's also part of the reason as well. But no, I think it's really what it is. I mean, how many, realistically, I'll call you a well-informed member of college football media. Realistically, amongst your peers, how many do you think know about the job that Jason Eck did?
I'd say very few, unfortunately.
Right. Despite it being their job.
Yeah.
I tweeted this out. I retweeted Brett McMurphy's list of finalists, and I said, I think this is proof that the people that cover the sport don't watch it. For Eck not to be a finalist, I'm not asking him to win it.
Yeah.
For him not to be a finalist is insane.
So, and to walk it back even to last year, right? This is a program that far exceeded expectations last year. And then you lose your head coach, your offensive coordinator, your star quarterback, completely resetting the roster. In the preseason predicted order of finish for the Mountain West, New Mexico was picked 11th of the 12 teams that are in the conference. If it weren't for some mislabeled computer rankings, should have been playing for the Mountain West title.
Yep. And here they are, and your coach can't even be a finalist.
Yeah,
so
that's crazy.
I will say, to the point of we're talking about, the motivation and all these sort of things, one would assume that New Mexico is going to be very motivated to get a bowl win here. Against Minnesota. It's a short number. It's 2.5. Moved off of some spots that opened up 3. This is what we're talking about. Some of these teams you can kind of easily point to as motivated sides are going to be it. They're also just a really well-coached team. And look, I don't think that as currently constructed, they're that far off as we have seen from some of the teams at the top of the Mountain West. And I don't think some of them, as we saw them go toe-to-toe with teams like Cal, are that far off from that kind of nexus of teams. And I bring that up because Cal, of course, played Minnesota. So I think a lot of people generally would look at this and go, Minnesota, New Mexico, it's only 2.5. No, I think that there's something here in that, this team isn't that far from a team like Minnesota, and they're going to be very primed to go out there and get this done.
They won 9 games this season, including 6 straight to end the year. Lobos also, by the way, covered in 4 of those 6 games down the stretch. The one thing about Minnesota, and as we get closer to kickoff, we'll see, who's in, who's out of all of these games. But Lobos, one of those programs that, yes, absolutely is going to be more motivated. Just sticking out in my mind was thinking about, Minnesota's been pretty good in their bowls lately.
Yeah.
And I went back through it. PJ Fleck has been a really good bowl season coach. Since he was hired in January of 2017, the Gophers have played in a bowl game 6 of his 8 seasons as head coach. They have won all 6 of those games. So
that is a trend
his
you'll
teams
hear.
have performed, yeah.
A lot of handicappers will point to that, too, in bowl season.
Yeah.
Essentially, and I think there's something to it, right? There's a skill in getting your team motivated to win a meaningless game.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying about BYU last segment as well, just in terms of under Kalani Sitake, we haven't really seen many opt-outs for BYU.
Yeah.
And so, like, things like that you can at least try to put into your handicap for these games. I know that next week we're going to go through a lot more of these West Coast bias games as well, I mean, even throughout the course of this week. But what's another one that caught your eye?
I actually want to go back to one because I'm going to ask a question. The answer is probably no. More than likely, it's no. We haven't heard any news about this. If you're Cal, do you not tell JKS to, like, worry about next year, buddy? You're an investor.
No.
Why not?
No. He's a freshman quarterback.
You got to worry about next year.
You need every rep you can get.
Come on now.
No.
You got to worry about next year.
He's already committed to coming back. Absolutely not. That's a ridiculous statement. No.
What about the Sun Bowl? Arizona State and Duke. This was pretty interesting from an narrative standpoint.
It was interesting to see. You see Kenny Dillingham wishing Sam Levitt well because there was the report that Sam Levitt was going to enter the transfer portal. And he like quote tweeted it and said, like, you know, he's going to have success wherever
Indiana.
he is. How many? What's the prop on Jeff Sims' interception?
Well, that's the thing. So it's like, I assume Jeff Sims is on the way out. I mean, is he out of eligibility? I don't know anymore with these guys.
You would imagine last game of his career.
But I mean, like Arizona State. This is interesting because you have Arizona State, who is, you know, a ranked team at the beginning of the year and a college football playoff team a season ago, versus a Duke team that won its conference but still wasn't good enough to make it to the college football playoff. If there was a manifestation of I don't give a rip, like it has to be this bowl, is it not? Who cares about either of these teams? What would be the motivation for them?
On New Year's Eve, no less, as well. So.
Like, this looks so ugly on its surface. I don't know of these teams who would care the most.
I want nothing to do with that game.
Okay.
No,
well, I think it's a really interesting game.
Sure.
No. Get a conference champion.
What about Utah, Nebraska? No Dylan Raiola, your favorite player in college football.
The man who I will prove once and for all had a better season than Avery Johnson on Friday.
We're officially doing that on Friday, by the way.
If I remember.
You better remember.
If not, I'll pull something out of a hat.
There are a few other interesting games, though. I know Adam brought up UNLV, Ohio earlier this week.
They wanted to save some. Now we're like ripping through the whole schedule.
No. We're going to save them because we do have some best bets to get here.
What about the architect of the greatest theoretical comeback of all time?
We have last 3 minutes of the program today. Greatest bleeping comeback I've ever seen. You've ever seen. Proceeds to lose by 20 points. Neither here nor there. Last couple minutes here. There are a couple bowl bets that you have put in the account. What you got?
Oh, that's right. We have best bets here. Yes. So let's do it.
And you did cash on UConn, for your recap of yesterday.
Hawaii. UConn yesterday, -3.5. Good job, guys. Got it done. Done some shenanigans, but we got there. College football. So we got 4 bets added to the profile here today. 3 in college football. Hawaii Bowl. Hawaii money line +110. We've talked about this at length. No need to do it anymore. We're going to go to the first round here, the college football playoff, the first round. We will go Oklahoma -1.5 against Alabama. Sorry, don't buy the Alabama offense. I do buy. Of all of the units that are taking part in this game, there was one that I bank on, and that's the Oklahoma defense. And I think they're going to be able to get this done. I see the look on your face. Let's go head-to-head then. Let's go.
We might have another show bet on
There we go. I like it. So we'll save time for it. Oklahoma -1.5 and Miami +3.5 in the first round against Texas A&M. Those are the 3 in college football. I have added in college basketball, BYU to win the national championship at 30-1. And last but not least, roll it out there, buddy, in the National Football League, Stormy, Seahawks -20.5 at 2-1. I expect that they will bludgeon the Indianapolis Colts.
Fun. Look, is that the emotional hedge for you? Like, you're going through a lot this week with all the Phillip Rivers. You're obviously a big Indianapolis Colts fan.
They only lost by 20.
Such high hopes for them after the strong start to the season, and then it has just been laughable.
I mean, yeah, but the emotional hedge indicates that if this doesn't go through, the other result would make me happy. Cool, the Colts lost by 20. That's great.
No, all right. You're the worst. I have a couple plays in hockey. The one game I felt like I had the best read on was the first of the TNT doubleheader today, Rangers Blackhawks. I am playing the Rangers on the money line at around a -135 price. It has been bet up a bit, a handful of places, but shop around. You can still find a decent number on it. And I'm on the over in this game as well. And if you have a book that will let you do the little same game parlay with the side and total here, I think the money line win and over 5.5 at around 2-1 is a pretty good bet in this spot. I as much as I want to wake up and believe that Chicago is going to play defense after the way that they've performed the last 2 games, I really don't see it happening here. This is a Rangers team that has been significantly better on the road than they have been at home, and Chicago scores more at home too. So I think we get goals, and I think the Rangers get it done here. On 12-4-1 on the road this season, plus 19 goal differential on the road as well. We got to step aside. Next on VSiN, it's Follow the Money, Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard, and it's a Sal Pal day. He'll give you the latest storylines in the NFL, his thoughts on the Eagles, plus Mike Palm has circa contest updates for you as well. Have a great day, everybody. Good luck with your
looking
bets.
sharp today.